Do you hear the wild wind? It is not a hurricane. It is the music of Damir Kedžo blowing in from Croatia. This song is all about ensuring that his special someone will be cared for during difficult circumstances when shit hits the fan. He is that kind of man. In any case, should we listen to Wild Wind and react?
Let's
Let's
do
do
this!
this.
Divlji vjetre, tu na moj prag, uvelo lišće donesi mir I kišu neka ostavi trag, tuge u bojama jeseni, a činilo se.
Oh my goodness, you guys, Doro was back this year, the Croatian national selection, and there was absolutely no staging. So Damir had to stand there all by himself and keep the audience's interest, but he did it. And that is pretty special. When you just have like a red light, you gotta use your voice, and he used his voice. The song Wild Wind features some very beautiful lyrics. When nothing is left, I will love you even then. Wild wind, go away and leave me without knowing how a man becomes what you no longer are. Look, he's telling this lady he loves her a lot, okay? And the voice envelops her, it envelops us. It's got a key change. This is a Balkan ballad with a key change, so you might think, okay, same old, same old. No, no, no. You would be mistaken. There's something special about this Balkan ballad. I can't really pinpoint it. I think it's got soul, it's got him. He's very strong, yet so fragile. I prefer this to the majority of Balkan ballads I've heard at Eurovision. I'm really sad for Croatia because I think this had a really good shot of doing well. I don't think this is the winner of Eurovision, but I think this would have made the final, which would have reversed their fortunes from recent years. Lucy.
Hi. Okay, so with Wild Wind, I'm not the world's biggest fan, and I think generally Balkan ballads aren't my kind of thing, but to me, it's like a less good Daniel Kedžo from Macedonia, North Macedonia in 2015. And I know that didn't exactly do well, but I find that song more interesting. This one, I just find it just sails along nicely the whole way through. And yeah, there's a key change, but even that doesn't make me go, yes! I'm just kind of yeah, it's just pleasant kind of all the way through, and it doesn't really go anywhere to me. And I get why other people would love this, because there are not much about Balkan magic in Eurovision this year. This was pretty much our serving of it. With Montenegro withdrawing, we needed one of the other Balkan countries to bring something, and Croatia did. It's just not my kind of thing. I just wish it kind of got a bit more exciting at one point, and I don't think a key change is necessarily the answer to that.
Wild wind, bring fall leaves on my doorstep, and the rain to leave the trail of sadness in the colors of autumn. Angus.
So I think certainly there's some stirring moments here. We've spoken about the key change. I think he's got a really strong voice, and there are moments where it kind of comes alive. But at the same time, overall, I kind of feel like it sags. There's not a lot going on generally in the song that kind of I find sonically resonant, that I can kind of hear time and again and engage with. I think it's somewhere between, the best Balkan ballads kind of take you to the spiritual plane. The worst, you just hit the skip button. This is somewhere in the middle for me. It has its moments, and certainly he's kind of helping that package to elevate a little bit. But overall, I don't think this is kind of in that great pantheon of kind of songs from that region. And yeah, I don't know. I think live it kind of comes alive. In the studio, it leaves me a little bit cold, to be honest with you.
Once you forget my name and the bed becomes cold, like winter's chained by the snow when nothing is left, I will love you even then. Wild wind, blow to Devon.
This is excellent. This is excellent. Daniel Kedžo speaks perfect English, and yet he decides to, offer a much more traditional sound. This doesn't have any air of pretense about it. It is riding on a formula. It's riding on a successful formula. It's a love poem wrapped in folklore, and it has excellent vocal offerings by somebody who's really handsome, very charismatic, and just flawless vocal. What I love about this is the transitions, right? So he does his solo runs, and it just soars above everything else. And when the backing vocals kick in, 5 female backing vocalists, when they kick in, it just provides a much more rounded experience, giving the song added depth, weight, and just envelops your senses. I think it is so beautiful. I think it is so well crafted. It's not just about Balkan Ballads not having a heavy featuring this year. It's about Balkan Ballads in general and Balkan Ballads at Eurovision, over the years. I think this still has a place, a high ranking place. I really, really like it. It has a timeless quality, and what I love about it as well is that it's not just, you don't have to speak a word of Croatian. It's about the melody, the structure, the composition and the progression, the stripped back version, solo runs within it, and the much more sort of choir feel. Now, I have an uncomfortable question for you, William Lee Adams. At what decibel does your Wild Wind register?
Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding. My ears come alive when I hear this. His voice, as Wiwi blogger Tom Hendrick writes, is electric and flawless. I have no idea what he is singing, but when he sings, I can't help but feel captivated. There's just something captivating. I've said this in other videos, but I think he goes on a journey in this song. Yes, he's got presence, he's very solid, but he's a little nervous, and by the end of the song, he's like, forget nerves, I'm gonna blow like the wild wind, okay? I'm gonna go through the jurors' ears, I'm gonna go out there to the people. We're talking digital, satellite, online, okay? He's a multi-platform voice, y'all. Get him to Spotify, Deezer, yes. Zagreb is calling. I just think it's unfortunate because in the past 2 years, I think Croatia has sent beautiful vocalists in Franca and Rocco. However, the stage shows, for whatever reason, they didn't appeal to Europe. Whereas I think with him, he has such a strong presence, he could have overcome, the hole in staging, because he already did that in Croatia. There was no staging, and yet he absolutely killed it. I do understand why this isn't everyone's cup of tea. I think there is a regional sound. Some people just aren't into that, and that's okay. It's not like they're being shady. It just doesn't, in their musical DNA appeal to them. But I think that this could have done well. In any case, let's please go around and give our scores out of 10, along with some sort of reasoning or rationale, starting with Miss Lucy up in Leicester.
I gave this a 4, and it's because it's just below the average mark for me. I just don't find it exciting. It doesn't tantalize my senses, as it were. And I couldn't give it any higher than that because I don't, when it comes on, I just skip it. I'm going to be honest. And that isn't even, like you say, it's not even necessarily because it's a bad song. It's just that Balkan sound isn't my cup of tea generally. It usually takes me a while to kind of like them. Like I really like Adio now when I didn't like that at the time. Things like that. It takes me a bit of time to kind of get used to Balkan ballads. With this one, I do think that it would have qualified. I think it would have been borderline though. And that's because there are a lot of people who love this kind of ballad and they would have voted it through. Having said that, the only other country in that region in their semi was North Macedonia. So they didn't have much help coming through. But I do still think all over Europe, people love this. And I do think it would have, I'm going to say 8th, 9th place qualifier, probably 17th, 18th in the final, I reckon. But my score for now is a 4.
Angus.
I'm not as well informed in kind of the semi lineup, so I won't dare to kind of venture on that, but I gave it a 5. I thought, it has some stirring moments that I quite like, but also, overall, it doesn't totally inspire me or fill me with joy, but I think he's a super accomplished vocalist and has a lovely voice. So I give it a 5 because, it's like smack in the middle of the pack for me. It's neither, towards exceptionalism. I also don't actually think it's actively got anything negative, but kind of doesn't recommend it in that sense.
Devin.
I'm just going to start by saying 8.5. You know, the thing is, Croatia's best shots, well, Croatia's hype leading to the contest in recent years has been Nina Kraljic with Lighthouse. And whilst that is an excellent song, you know, the staging killed it. This, you know, criminally underrated ahead of Eurovision, but it would have caught fire during Eurovision, and this would have really shut up the scoreboard. Just to also point out that, I mean, North Macedonia, I mean, why are we even comparing? That one was just for the semis. But what I am going to say is that with this particular one, whilst this sound may not necessarily appeal to Western ears, let's not forget that 50% of Western votes is also, a bank of music experts who would not have ignored this. This has a very strong sort of jury appeal. And of course, in the Eastern Bloc, the televoters and the jurors would have respected this. I think this would have finished comfortably in the top 10. It didn't need a huge bank of resources to push it through. There was enough charismatic flavor. There was a very strong likability factor. And you know what? There's so many people that associate the contest in general with Balkan ballads. Well, you've only got one this year, so that also ticks that box. It's a shame. It's a big shame that we're not going to see Damir Kedžo this year because, or next year, well, there's no contest this year. Next year, because I think that actually Croatia would have got, this would have done really well. This would have done really well.
And I do think it would have swept the Balkan jury vote in the final because this is a very classy representation of Balkan music. I think that Voda perhaps is just a bit too flat, and then Hurricane would be a bit more divisive. Well, I love it. I think some people might say it leans a bit too Jelena Karluža turbo folk for their tastes. However, I do like this. I like that he's a man of contrast, you know, emotional, soft, vulnerable voice at times, paired with, you know, these images of him stacked with tattoos. Do you know what I mean? He can do rough and ready. He can do smooth and elegante. My score is a 7.5, so this is above average for me. And had they improved staging, I could see this climbing significantly. In any case, we are not the only Wiwi bloggers. They have also submitted votes. They are all over the world, dozens of them. And when we take the global average, Devin is not going to like this, we get, camera ready to zoom in on Devin's face, please. We get a 5.13.
Do you know what? My colleagues, I love them dearly, but, you know, let's just leave it at that. I love them dearly, but it puzzles me. It just puzzles me what version of the song they were judging. You know, like, what exactly were they hearing? What exactly were they seeing? This is excellent. This is a marker of excellence by all measures.
Well, that's what we think. What do you think? What is the wild wind carrying to you, and what gives you wild wind at dinner? Let us know here on Wiwi Blogs.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like in the comments, let us know what you think about Croatia's song this year, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video from Wiwi Blogs.
Follow us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Wiwi Blogs.
Well, you know what? On that podcast, you won't be hearing those Wiwi bloggers' wild winds. I can tell you that much. They hold back. They hold back.
And we will see you later.
Later.
Bye.